Hey everyone, for the past month and a half, I've used the Mate 20 Pro as my daily driver. It's been crazy overhyped, and it's supposedly one of the best phones around right now. But does the hype match up to reality? I'm Angie for GSM Arena, and this is our long-term review of the Mate 20 Pro. To start off with, this phone is a stunner. It's hard to get sick of the ocean blue color or the pop of red on the power button. I usually think that the looks of a phone don't matter very much because they're just looks. But this phone is so pretty that I really have to admit that it contributes to the overall experience. Even the notch doesn't really detract from its overall looks, especially since most of the time you're not even going to notice it. You can go into settings and decide whether it cuts into a particular app or not. Also, the notification LED it houses has been one of my favorite features because it's an easy way to know who has texted you or not without having to actually reach over and open the phone. And this actually brings me to one of the most annoying parts of the device, and actually the most annoying part of the notch, even though it's not the notch's fault: biometrics. Face unlock works about half of the time, and I resort to using the fingerprint reader inside the display more often than not. This is really annoying at night because the in-display fingerprint reader uses light so it can read your finger. And in a pitch black room, this is blindingly bright. When it's not trying to make your eyes bleed, the screen itself is gorgeous. And in fact, it's so gorgeous that it's difficult to find good wallpapers for it because the high-resolution display makes sure that you can see every single flaw of the photo that you're looking at. Despite the curve of the screen making the edge a little bit skinny, the Mate 20 Pro is still really comfortable to hold and pretty easy to use one-handed, especially since it's not too slippery in the hand. However, even though it's not slippery in the hand, that doesn't mean that it's not slippery on every single surface that you put it on, especially if that surface has an incline. And so even though it has Gorilla Glass protection on both sides of the phone, it also means that it's way more likely to break, even if you're not that clumsy and you're not going to be the one breaking it. While we're on the subject of things dropping, I haven't had any issues with calls being dropped. People on the other line hear me pretty well too. However, I do have a problem with the earpiece, which is abysmal. It makes it really difficult to speak on the phone in loud environments just because you're not going to be able to understand what the other person is saying. I've even had to resort to using the USB-C headphones the Mate comes with if I want to understand the person on the other side of the line. And as far as music is concerned, the bottom-firing speaker doesn't help the situation very much. It's loud enough, but the sound quality is quite tinny, and if you plug in a cable, it sounds even worse because it's situated right behind the USB-C port. So I've completely resorted to using portable Bluetooth speakers. This brings me to one of the biggest issues I have with this phone. First of all, let me remind you, this phone does not have a headphone jack, so you are completely at the mercy of the dongle or the Bluetooth connection. And the Bluetooth connection, once connected, is pretty good, but if you're gonna get connected, that entire process is not so good. It's completely unreliable, and sometimes it takes up to a minute to get connected, and sometimes it doesn't get connected at all and you have to restart the Bluetooth connection or the audio device that you want to use. But like I said, once connected, there aren't any issues. Sound quality is excellent when you use devices that support high-quality audio codecs, and you can actually choose whether you want aptX or LDAC. There are loads of hidden options and features on this phone, and I doubt you'll even use a third of them. Some, like the one-handed UI and motion control gestures, have been part of EMUI for years now, while others, like digital balance, are newer. This is actually part of Google's push for digital well-being in Android Pie, and though it makes you more aware of how much time you waste on your phone, it's not always accurate. For example, if you use the floating chat heads on Messenger, it's not always going to tell you that you've spent time looking at your phone. So in reality, you might have spent an hour, and it's actually going to tell you half an hour. I also wish that Huawei would modernize its UI a little bit. The phone is gorgeous, the wallpapers are gorgeous, it's clear that they have a really nice design team, so I don't understand why they don't do this for the software part of their devices. At least if you choose to go the third-party launcher route for extensive customization, you'll be happy to know that weather widgets no longer crash on this version of EMUI. Thankfully, some things are really well executed, like gesture navigation. Gestures ensure that you can use pretty much all of your screen real estate, and at some point they become so natural that it feels painful to use navigation buttons. While EMUI is still quite cluttered and far from the lightest UI in the smartphone industry, it doesn't seem to impact the speed of the phone no matter how many apps you leave open. Another thing that does not seem to be impacted by a billion things running in the background is battery life. The best part is, even if it starts to get in the red, the fast charger is so fast that even a measly 10 minutes means the phone can last me another 3 hours. Last but not least, we really have to talk about the camera. In some ways, I really miss the Pixel 2 XL that I was last using. While the Mate 20 Pro can take some amazing pictures, its autofocus is pretty terrible, especially if you have a moving subject. Often, you'll find that you have to reshoot the photo a bunch of times, especially if you have someone who likes to fidget a lot. Autofocus is even worse in low-light environments, so despite night mode being able to capture amazing photos of scenery, pictures of your friends having a laugh are a different story. If you deactivate the 4D predictive focus and turn on the master AI, things are slightly better, but only slightly. Even though the Mate 10 Pro last year was strictly a photographer's camera, this year I'd say the Mate 20 Pro is a fine option for the videographers among you. While the colors are washed out when the light gets low and sharpness in general isn't the best around, videos have very reliable stabilization and the flexibility that comes with 3 lenses is unmatched. You can shoot videos on the fly that would simply be impossible in most scenarios. But you should keep in mind that it isn't the most reliable camera around, and sometimes you'll have to shoot pictures more than once in order to capture the moment. And other times you'll find yourself fiddling with the settings for a few minutes in order to capture whatever amazing thing you're looking at. As a whole, the Mate 20 Pro is not perfect. There's some serious annoyances like fidgety Bluetooth, the unreliable autofocus at close distances, the cluttered UI, or the abysmal earpiece speaker. However, if you can live with these niggles, the Mate 20 Pro is a beast of a smartphone. The battery life is insane and charging is a dream. The screen is gorgeous, the phone is a beauty, and you'll never feel a slowdown, no matter what torture tests you put it through. And the triple lens setup is one of the most fun around. The Galaxy Note 9 is the only phone I can think of that allows a comparable amount of freedom. And if you're choosing between these two, it becomes a matter of which camera do you like better and how much do you care about the headphone jack and the stylus. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button down below and subscribe and hit the bell icon to get our latest tech reviews as soon as they're out. See you next time.